Hey guys, welcome back to Axis and Allies, the Garrison. Welcome back to the bunker here in Rochelle Park, New Jersey. This is Dtroy with another episode of Commentary and Review. Obviously, we're going to be reviewing or commenting on those comments that you guys made for round 5. Okay, so we have pretty much have covered a good portion or a good chunk of round 5. It's actually we've done Germany, Russia, Japan, USA, and now we're waiting for the UK's turn. UK being under the command of Corporal 24. All right, so let's start the reviews, folks. All right, so this is for episode 5.1, commentary and review. I posted in the description box, Germany invades England, the monarchy leaves for Canada, and the government moves to Cairo, Egypt. Okay, I don't know if that's an accurate statement on my part. It's just me making things a little bit more interesting. I don't know what the actual plans were that are historically accurate in nature, what the plans were for the British government, where they were going to go if given that Sea Lion would have been successful. I'm just assuming that the British monarchy would have left for Canada, and that the actual working government would have gone to another more closer area that was closer to the conflict, being that that time of during the Second World War in northern Africa, in Egypt in particular, you had a strong military presence in North Africa. So I always assumed that if the government were to fall, that the higher ups in the chain of command, like Winston Churchill, would end up in Cairo or Egypt or something like that in that nature. For some reason, I always assumed that, but I may be wrong. Okay, all right. So that was my description for 5.1. A couple of the guys made commentaries. Of course, I introduced a little bit of my pizzazz, working in there some interesting details about Field Marshal 24 leaving. The UK under escort. So this way it could link up with Winston Churchill in Northern Africa. Okay, so Sonny New wrote, and if, which I do not for a moment believe, I think he's quoting Winston Churchill, which I do not for a moment believe, this island or a large part of it was subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, will carry on the struggle until, in God's good time, the new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to rescue and the liberation of the old. It's a quote. I have absolutely no idea where Sonny New got that from, but it motivated a few of the other guys to post a couple of replies, just following the spirit of the initial commentary that was made. Okay, so Sire Blood goes ahead and states, great recap. Now, what's Germany going to do? Heck, how well as I know, you should know what Germany's going to do. You're the guy that keeps them going all over the place. You've definitely been a grand master out thinking all of us. So you tell me, Sire, what are you going to do? All right, so let's scroll down and see what No Limit wrote. Okay. Okay, hopefully we don't have to trade London for Tokyo. The right might be going to Chinatown. All right, that's a possibility. I mean, we all know that the Axis powers in Europe, in particular, at this time, are just very strong. It's not looking like if the Allies are going to win the game, it's going to happen in Europe. It looks more like if the Allies, have any chance at all of winning the game, it's going to happen in the Pacific. Okay, so yes, we may have to trade one for the other, and you're not that far off the mark. No Limit. All right, let's scroll down. Corporal 24 wrote, nice work as always. Okay, No Limit, another commentary. He stated, impressive. Most impressive. There was some talk of Sire Führer's massive buildup being just a ruse. There was talk of that, you're right. but that was probably orchestrated by the British propaganda department. Go for it. That would have been the most expensive diversion in A&A history. Okay, that's true. Sorry, response, haha, funny. I can't go out as the biggest bluffer on Axis and Allies history. So, yeah, I mean, if Sired Blood would have, obviously he went for Leningrad and Archangel and all that good stuff on the Eastern Front. He psychs us out, turns his war machine, performs Sea Lion, takes London, then only to go back to retake the Eastern Front and ignoring, actually not taking London, taking Scotland and ignoring London, and then going back to Archangel and Leningrad. That would have been a big ruse, yes, and it would have been a waste. And of course, that's what Sired Blood is saying here, that he couldn't go down as just one big hoaxster. He had to follow through, and he had to go with a follow-up invasion of London itself, which he successfully performed. He did take London. Okay, so Stephen Gilchrist wrote, "This is most forces that I have ever seen after a sea lion. Heavy bombers did work. Really unfortunate for the Brits that the AAAs weren't effective." Yeah, Sired Blood, without a doubt, went in there massively. I mean, he had a lot of firepower. I mean, remember, he had, I believe, 6 bombers coming in during that attack. He also enjoys that his technology is super bombers, which means that his bombers would be attacking with the power of 2 bombers, or the strength of 2 bombers. So he also had tactical bombers, he had fighters, and he had about maybe like 10 or 11 ground units going in there. What Stephen is saying, though, is that he's surprised that so many ground units survived the actual attack. Okay, that so many units of the German army, Luftwaffe actually survived, and that's impressive, and that's rarely seen. And in this particular game, in this particular move, that was the exception. Sired did have a lot of units left, and in part that's because the AAAs that the UK had actually inflicted very minimal damage on the German Luftwaffe. Okay, I believe only 2 aircraft were shot down. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, the ratio should have been at least 3. Okay, at least 3 aircraft should have been shot down, not just 2. Okay, so it should have been 3 or more. Okay, I may be wrong on that because I'm not a numbers guy or a statistics guy, but I was working on I had the impression that it should have been more. Okay, also overall, the die rolls that Corporal 24 had were not that hot. Okay, and of course the firepower that the Germans came with was just massive. It was massive. Okay, so I don't think any of us were actually fooling ourselves into believing that the UK had the upper hand in this battle. I think that most of us believed that the UK actually was the underdog and that the UK would fall. What we were hoping for would be that we were hoping that the UK would be able to, at the very least, inflict heavy damage, casualties on the Germans. And of course, as you guys well know, that never happened. It never occurred. Hence, it left Germany very powerful. It left Germany with surplus pieces that even Sired was very surprised to have at the end of his turn. Okay, so that's something that was unexpected as a consequence. Okay, Alex Whitson. I'm sorry, Alex. I'm probably butchering your name. You stated, or you wrote, probably if the British government relocated to Canada, it would have been in Ottawa, taking over the Canadian House of Commons and Senate. Haha. All right. So that would maybe would have happened. I don't know. The Canadians definitely are an independent country, so I don't think if that would have happened. In all honesty, I don't think that the British government and monarchy would have just set aside the local government. I doubt that very much. However, the Canadians, I believe, would have been very accommodating to the British monarchy and the the English or the British government. I think they would have accommodated them in many ways, okay? But I don't think they would have displaced the local Canadian government. I don't think that would have happened for 1 minute. All right, so in any case, okay, so let's scroll further down. War Party at the Outpost stated or wrote, after reviewing your U.S. Unit placement, I realized the number of units within range of London would have been sufficient to save London, and you wouldn't be able to liberate London in the next round with air power and airborne troops because you were nowhere within range to land. So you would have had to stage them in Iceland first. Then you would only have one shot with them before Sire Blood could just send his amphibious assault force to wipe out those units. Okay, what the War Party is talking about here is that when I asked for you guys to opine and to give me your opinions as what strategy would be the best strategy Pacific, Europe, and why I didn't go with Europe when I had a choice. Because remember, my ally, Corporal 24, was asking for help, and I had to kind of hit the brakes, and I kind of basically hinted at my allies that I wanted to pursue a Pacific strategy, that switching strategies was not the way to go. War Party was one of those guys that hinted, no, that I should have gone with a Atlantic strategy. Now, with hindsight, as he looked at the map in further detail, he realized that maybe if I had changed my strategy to an Atlantic strategy, maybe it would not have been the best strategy to go with, precisely because of what I just read of War Party's quote, that basically, even if I built bombers that would act as air transports, I would have had a very difficult time on coming to the aid of the British right away, because my bombers had no place to land. So in that essence, War Party is correct. I think I would have had to wait at least maybe 2, probably actually 3 turns before I could even come close to landing in the UK. Reason being because it would take a whole turn to build a proper navy and naval transport fleet and ground units for a naval landing. Then the following turn will be the turn where I would make the actual movements from the eastern seaboard to Gibraltar. And then the third round would have been the time when I come in and finally land on the UK. So in essence, it would have been the longer route. It would have been the longer voyage. So it would have been the longer strategy, I think. And in that sense, my brother, War Party, you are right. And that's what I saw. And ultimately, my allies, I believe they also saw that. And even Corporal 24 agreed that it was not the smarter way to go about changing strategies midway through this game. All right, let's see. Alex Whitson once again stated fantastic commentary. Dtroy, thank you so much. All right, that's it for 5.1. All right, let's go and see 5.2, which was the segment dealing with Russia under the command of War Torn. So let's scroll down here and see what I wrote in my description of this episode. All right, so in the description box at the bottom of the video, I wrote, Russia continues its counteroffensive, regaining territories that had been lost to the Wehrmacht. Yes. The fact that Germany, under the command of Field Marshal Sire Blood, switched tactics, because I don't think Sire has actually changed his strategy. He's just changing tactics. Okay, the fact that he went with Operation Sea Lion, taking Scotland first, then the following round taking London, okay, allowed Russia some breathing room, some breathing space, which meant then that the Russians could launch limited counteroffensives on the Eastern Front. Okay, so for the past 2 rounds, War Torn has been able to regain much of the territory that he had lost from the very beginning of the game. Okay, so yes, the fact that this happened allows Russia to breathe, allows Russia to regain territory, allows Russia to further build its own military. Okay, and that's exactly what's going on here. Okay, and also if you look at the map, at the game map, you'll realize that the Germans halfway through round 5 are actually very thin on the Eastern Front. They have little to no forces on the Eastern Front. So it's time for the Russians to capitalize. Bulldozer wrote, well, the Germans won't have the units from the massive money haul down and ready to use until their 7th turn. They'll have to move fast. Yes, absolutely. I think Syed knows that, though. I think Syed realizes that he's very, very weak, very thin on the Eastern Front, and he's going to have to move fast. As a matter of fact, early in round 5, during Germany's turn, you'll notice that Syed, with the Germans, bought one major industrial complex that he placed in Romania, and he also bought a second minor industrial complex that he placed in Leningrad. Okay, he also potentially could regain a third complex, the minor complex that he just lost in Archangel. But I'm going to assume, though, that he will regain that minor complex at the beginning of round 6. So yeah, so that's part of his strategy. And one way of moving fast for the Germans is by building a lot of forces in these industrial complexes that are right there at the front. Okay, so let's see let's see what the formula is that Syed will use to smack or come very heavily on a counteroffensive against the Russians. All right, so let's see what Sunny New wrote. Remember, folks, this is 5.2, Russia's turn. Every time Germany did a sea line, there will be thinning ground units on the Eastern Front. Yeah, Sonny, that's a fact. The bottom line is that it's very difficult for the Germans to do both, to go in hot and heavy both on the Russian front and a Germany front. So they have to pick one of the two, and you hope then that whatever strategy you use, you have enough left over on the other side to effectively neutralize the other side that you're not really focusing on. So you're correct on that. Okay, No Limit wrote, talk about being too happy. Cyrus too happy. Cyrus Fury was giddy over his London exchange that he forgot his own rules of railroads. Like the actual war, Stalin Torn has taken the brunt of the battles from the get-go, but he's still holding up as well as any player possibly can under the circumstances. Yes, he is, No Limit. Not only is he holding up, but he's actually taking advantage of the fact, as I stated before, that Syed's attention is on England right now for the past 2 turns. So that's giving War Torn the opportunity to actually go on the counteroffensive. So yeah, agreed. Corporate 24. No Limit. I guess he's answering back to No Limit and states, while C-24 convoy never made it to England and was pronounced lost somewhere in the Sahara with the other 2 stooges. I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about there. I don't know. They're going back and forth, I guess. Let me scroll further down. Skip that. Okay, Stephen Gilchrist. Good review. Russia made smart moves, attacked in north and pulled back in south, away from major in Romania. Allied victory is all up to the U.S. now. Good luck, Dtroy. Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate the support. Yes, Russia did make smart moves. Attacked in the north, yes, in the northern front, and pulled back in the south, away from the major industrial complex that the Germans just built in Romania. So it makes sense. You attack where it's weak, right, and you hold back where the enemy's strong. And I think that's what War Torn is doing, because he did. He fell back, he retracted in the southern flank of the Eastern Front, because he's expecting that is where most likely the Germans are going to be strong, because of the major complex that Syed just built in Romania. So it makes sense. And of course, Teflon wrote Sire, hey, get that Iron Cross on London. Yeah, let's not forget the Iron Cross on London because Sire took London, right? So, all right, that's it for 5.2. Let's go next to 5.3, and that is Japan's turn under Generalissimo G.I. Joe. Just bear with me here, guys. All right, Japan. Okay, so in my description box, the bottom of episode 5.3, I wrote, Japan attacks the American task forces off the coast of the Philippines and sustains a tactical setback. While launching further attacks against the Allies across Asia, meanwhile the Japanese hunker down for a possible attack on the Imperial Japanese Navy in Sea Zone 6. Alright, that was my description. Okay. Bulldozer wrote, Japan is pretty well defended regardless of having blockers or not. If the Americans launch an attack in Sea Zone 6 now, that will be a bloodbath. Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime you have big battles, especially in the Pacific or on the Eastern Front, okay, you're going to have massive battles. There tends to be an exchange, even though in this game on the Eastern Front there haven't been like really big. There haven't been that big engagements. The engagements have been rather small. But in the Pacific, because of the great buildup throughout most of the game, I mean, it's been what, 5 rounds, and there haven't been any major exchanges. Now we've reached that critical mass where any exchange will be heavy losses on whoever is involved. Okay, so you're correct on that, Bulldozer. Okay, Sunny New wrote, wondering if next turn U.S. attacks the Imperial Japanese Navy and wipes them out, what should Japan do? Good point. If the U.S. okay goes in for Sea Zone 6, okay, and the Japanese Navy is wiped out, how will G.I. Joe respond to this predicament? Okay, well, you know, the interesting thing about Japan is that even though traditionally Japan is always weak with its ground forces, has a strong navy, has a very strong air force. Well, the beautiful thing is that even if the U.S. comes in hot and heavy, okay, and destroys the Japanese Navy, there's always the counter, okay? And the Japanese Navy, Air Force, the Japanese Air Force has the advantage that it has a lot of firepower and can definitely come back and destroy anything that the U.S. has anywhere close to its territories that are controlled by Japan. All right, I'm just going to skip a few of these commentaries, guys, because I don't think they really really talk about strategy. It's more just opinions on that I think are not worth the while talking about. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into episode 5.4, the YouTube Wars, USA and China. Okay, so that's my turn of the game. Okay, and let's review 5.4. And at the bottom of the description box, I wrote, the U.S. attacks the Japanese Pacific I meant to say fleet in Sea Zone 6. The Japanese fleet is destroyed, but the U.S. fleet is not exposed to Japanese counterattacks. Yes. So what happened is that the U.S., me being the U.S., perceived that there was an opening in that the Japanese fleet was somewhat exposed in Sea Zone 6. Okay. Now what happened was that I saw an opportunity and I went for it. Okay. Now the Japanese fleet in Sea Zone 6 was destroyed. There were heavy losses to the U.S. fleet. Okay, now I made several mistakes. It's what I call dummy mistakes. I mean, not only dummy mistakes, rookie mistakes, I would say. And rookie mistakes because under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have made these mistakes. A lot of the mistakes that we make as when we play the game using YouTube as a platform are due basically because you got to remember something, guys. We are playing a game, okay? We're thinking about the strategy, the tactics, but you're also recording, okay? You're narrating, you're recording, you're holding the camera, or cell phone camera on one hand, you're narrating what's going on, and you're resolving combat at the same time. You have multiple things going on at the same time here, okay? So, having said that, it's very easy, believe it or not, it's very easy to lose track of the game and your strategy and where you want to go and whatnot, okay? So that's exactly what happened to me here, okay? I started making mistakes. So when I attacked the Japanese Navy, the Imperial Japanese Navy in Season 6, I forgot to not damage my carriers, right? So what does Dtroy do? Dtroy goes ahead and starts damaging his carriers. Teflon in one of his commentaries wrote that he was jumping off his seat saying, "Do not damage the carriers." And of course, that's exactly what I did. So I went ahead and damaged my carriers. Big no-no, big mistake, because now I have no place to land my fighters. Okay, so now that's what I attribute to the fog of war. Okay, this whole thing. Okay, the fact that I'm doing multiple things at the same time as I'm playing the game, I attribute it to the fog of war. Okay, then to add insult to injury, what do? Okay, I failed to realize that I have 4 or 5 aircraft that I have to ditch in the sea that have no place to land. But to add insult to injury, I failed to realize that those aircraft actually did have a place to land. They could have landed in Siberia. So me being a dummy, okay, what do? I ditch them. And I sacrifice my aircraft, okay? I think it was 4 or 5 aircraft that I ultimately lost. When all along, I could have landed them in Siberia. Man, I was so upset with myself because I'm like, you know. But then again, it's the fog of war, okay? And as you guys watch these videos and you guys get to play your own games, okay, and hopefully you guys will do that and you'll use YouTube or WhatsApp or any other social media platform to play the game, you'll remember me when you make your own mistakes and you realize, hey, Dtroy, I get it now. I get it. You're playing the game, but you're doing multiple things at the same time. It's not easy, folks, especially when you're resolving battle. You know, you're narrating what's going on, okay? And even though I have to say my son was holding the camera for me, it was still, you know, a lot to deal with, a lot to handle. So, of course, I felt like a dummy. And what that ended up resulting for the U.S. Navy now is that even though the U.S. destroyed the Japanese Navy in Season 6, my carriers in the battleship that are all damaged and 1 cruiser are now open for a counterattack from the Japanese Air Force and the remnants of the Japanese Navy, which are in Season 20, I believe. Okay, so having said that, it's looking nasty for the American Navy in Season 6. I think somebody called me out and then said, "That's karma coming back to you from Joe." Yeah, it probably was. Anyway, let's go down to a couple of the commentaries. Guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to skip in the last turn, I skipped a couple of the commentaries because I felt that they were a little bit inappropriate, okay? And I don't mean to, you know, skip anybody, but sometimes some things are just not worth talking about, okay? Let's stick to strategy and what's worth about this game, and that is building community and building a consensus here, okay? And networking and showing you how you guys can go ahead doing what we are doing here in the YouTube wars, okay? All right, so triple X-ray, AAA X-ray, who lives in New Zealand, who's a New Zealander, wrote. And Dutch, by the way, if you're watching this, for some reason, I initially thought when I introduced you as being New Zealander, I thought I confused you with AAA X-ray, okay? So now I'm realizing, and it just hit me right now, that's where the confusion initially came in. All right, so he wrote, "No, sorry for your planes. I was shouting at you not to take the damage on your carriers, but you didn't hear." Yeah, man, I'm deaf sometimes. I don't know why that is the case, but yeah, you weren't the only one who had those sentiments, AAA. All right, so Sire Blood wrote, "Can't wait to watch the vid. I'm a little behind, still gotta watch Joe's, but I've had a bunch of texts. I can only guess at the horror Japan face. Laughing out loud, though my allies Japan." I'm gonna skip that. That's not necessary. Okay, it doesn't hit the point. Okay, so Stephen wrote, "Well, if you don't take initial hits on carriers, you have taken nearly equivalent hits on the naval aircraft." Yeah, but the smarter move, Stephen, without a doubt, would have been not to have damaged my carriers, or at least to damage 2 and leave 2 undamaged. This way, at least I would have had a place to land them on. But in all honesty, I could have gone ahead and damaged my carriers and have placed the rest of my surviving aircraft in Siberia. But of course, the idea would have been to have left at least 2 of my carriers undamaged. This way, I would have had some protection for the fleet once the battle was over. And of course, I never did that. Okay, so. Okay. GWN wrote, he's the guy that wrote about the karma. "A little bit of karma from G.I. Joe." Alright, so then of course Triple X-Ray makes a commentary on an illegal technical move that I made. He wrote, "Sorry about Sumatra, it's an illegal move. Dutch Indies are an ally. Only UK and ANZAC can take control of a special rule." Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that. It's funny because you can read the rule book, and honestly, the rule book is a little vague. If you guys, I'm sure you guys are aware of that already. But if you read the rule book, sometimes you'll miss on little nuances, little details that explain a rule and that can change a rule dramatically. Okay. For instance, I did not know that Sumatra cannot be taken or annexed by the United States or any other allied power. Okay, the only country that can annex Sumatra is the UK. That's the only country. The exception to the rule is if Japan takes Sumatra first, then it's free for the taking. Okay, so if Japan takes Sumatra, then the US can take Sumatra and get it as a territory of its own. Same thing with ANZAC. Okay, so that's the rule, and I did not know that. So of course, I know that in my turn, I indicated that the UK was that the USA was collecting 81 IPCs. Well, as it turned out, no, the UK would have dropped to 77 IPCs. However, I did forget to mention, guys, that I did take Korea, so that brings me back to 80. So the U.S. collected 80, not 81, as I had previously stated in my USA video or episode. Okay, so G.I. Joe, my brother, I'm sorry, man. It's war. You're still my brother. I'll have a beer with you any day of the week. All right, so G.I. Joe wrote, "Well played, Dtroy. Did you have to kill all my Navy? Could have left me a canoe or something. Once again, Japan is in the pickle. Back to the drawing board." Yeah, but you got something scamming. I know it, and I see it coming too. All right. Of course, No Limit wrote something about me using my son as child labor, and that I'm paying him pizza for being my cameraman and whatnot. And hey, I'll take all the help that I can, and if my son is willing to work for pizza, that's a good trade-off, No Limit. Absolutely. So Sire Blood wrote, finally got to watch the episode. So you're coming for me, huh? Yeah, my brother. Obviously, my ally, Corporal 24, needs help. So I'm going to reassess what I have. And I did purchase a lot of Navy, a lot of ground units, one carrier, and a lot of naval transports. And guess where they're going? They're not going for the Pacific. They're going for Europe. They're going for the Atlantic because I'm coming after you, Sire, Field Marshal Sire Blood. Okay, so all right. So fearing losing those planes hurt to watch, but you still crippled those pesky Japanese. I consider that a win-lose for you. Yeah, it's definitely a win and a lose. Obviously, it's a win because we got rid of the Japanese Navy, or most of it anyway. Because don't forget, fearing that the Japanese still have a lot of Air Force, and they still have a small remnant of their fleet in Sea Zone 20. They have a destroyer and a fully loaded carrier in Sea Zone 20 that has 2 fighters. They also have a submarine off the coast of the Philippines. Even though that submarine can't make it to Sea Zone 6, but that fleet in Sea Zone 20, that destroyer and that carrier, and the aircraft all over that are all in China can make it to the American fleet in Sea Zone 6. So that's something to consider and to deal with, that the Americans have to deal with, basically, okay? So it's a win-lose or lose-win, however you see it. Bulldozer, he wrote, man, those long-range aircraft are wicked for the U.S. Absolutely, they really are. And as I mentioned to you guys on the previous video, the reason why I was hesitant to change my strategy from a Pacific strategy to a European Atlantic strategy was specifically because of the technology that I had chosen, okay? The technology that I had chosen, okay? By the way, my strategy that I used in the Pacific strategy was one that I borrowed from the master himself, Sire Blood, by the way, during the bloodbath in California, okay? I borrowed his strategy. This is not mine. And the strategy basically requires that you go Pacific and that you buy or acquire long-range aircraft for the U.S. as your tech. So yes, very wicked because the American aircraft are within range from California to the Pacific coast, and the aircraft can land anywhere on any Russian territory or on any American carrier somewhere in the area. Okay, so that's food for thought, folks. Sorry about the beeping in the background. That's actually my dryer in the background, so I apologize for that. That's not my fire alarm or anything like that going off. Okay, Sunny New. By the way, Sunny New is currently playing a YouTube game. Also a YouTube board, I don't know what they call it, but but they're also using social media, YouTube as a platform where they're playing a game. I believe it's Hunter Jones, War Party, No Limit. Forgetting a few of the guys are playing. And Sunny New made an excellent video, guys, of his turn. The lighting was excellent. The camera, excellent. Okay, the handling of his camera, very steady, very, very well made. His narrating, clear and concise and to the point. So let me congratulate Sunny New for making a very good video, and thumbs up on your end. Okay, very good. Okay, it looked like if you were a veteran, at least to me, like if you had done this before. All right, so Sunny wrote, just imagine that in a real life situation, the kamikazes actually hit those carriers and did only a handful of damage to them. But the problem is that the U.S. fighters are coming back after the sorties, and now they got no place to land. That's actually what happened a lot of the times in World War II. I know that the kamikazes did focus and did engage American carriers with the idea of damaging, not necessarily sinking them, but damaging them. Okay, and that was the idea behind the kamikaze strategy with the Japanese. Okay, Chris Nameless. Okay, Chris, you wrote something about that you were watching us playing this game and that we were like NBA players playing basketball. All right, Chris, thank you so much for making the comparison there. But my brother, we're not professional players. We're just a group of guys that have a passion for this game. We're just a group of guys that are willing to put our names out there to teach the community on how they can go about playing this game. We're not professionals. Our names are nowhere, up on the board somewhere saying these guys are professionals, these guys are the best players in the world. We're not. At least I'm not. I'm what I consider myself to be a novice to moderate player. Okay, there's a lot of guys out there that are low-key, very quiet, but are lethal. Trust me when I tell you, they're lethal players, and you don't even know who they are. These are just guys that treasure their privacy. They like what they do, and that's it. They play the game on their end. Okay, we are not professionals. We're not the best. We're just a group of guys that love this game. Okay, and that we're willing to put ourselves out there. Okay, and hopefully make a contribution to the community. Okay, so that's it. So even though I appreciate where you're coming from, it may be a bar that is maybe too high for us to achieve or actually get or reach, because I don't think we are professionals. Okay, we're just guys playing the game. All right. So anyway, Jorgen Thorson wrote, when I don't think that's necessary. Sorry, Jordan. Matt Todd wrote, okay, don't feel too bad, Dtroy. We've all made a boneheaded mistake like that now and then. So long as all involved are enjoying the game, that's what matters. Absolutely. Matt, you're 100% correct on that observation. Guys, this is just a game. This is about having a great time with a group of friends. Let me tell you, we're very competitive in our group here at the YouTube Wars, okay? Every single guy playing this game is very competitive. But every single guy here is amazing. Every single guy here that is playing this game is a stand-up guy. Somebody that I will sit down and have a beer with any day of the week. It's about having fun. It's about camaraderie. And yes, it's about having fun. Okay, without a doubt. But it goes beyond that too, guys. It goes about having respect towards each other, having consideration towards each other. So, you're right about that, Matt. And by the way, Matt, I messaged you a couple of days ago because I initially thought that you were M. Todd. Now, M. Todd was another YouTuber, an old school YouTuber who, interesting enough, his name was M. Todd, and he was actually one of the original YouTubers who had a lot of stuff, a lot of A&A stuff. Okay, he was one of the guys that I was watching when I first got involved with A&A, at least on YouTube, social media wise. And the guy dropped off the surface of the earth. He's no longer on YouTube for some reason, but his channel had a lot of subscribers for a couple, actually like a good number of thousands of subscribers. But he just disappeared. I haven't seen him again. And initially when I saw your name, Matt Todd, I thought you were him. So that's why I asked if that was you, but obviously you cleared that out and you actually corrected me, and no, you're not Matt Todd. Okay. The M Todd that I knew, that I was talking about. All right, let's go further down. There's a couple more. All right, I think that's about it. A lot of small chit chat here and there, nothing worth talking about. But yeah, guys, so we're halfway through round 5. It is definitely the UK's turn, Corpo 24. As you guys have noticed, the pace has slowed down with the game, okay? And the reason for that is that we're a little bit tired. We're definitely racing at a high pace here. We're going really fast every day. We're basically producing a video, so it's good to actually slow down, catch a breather. The idea is to finish this marathon, and we want to provide for you guys an entire game that you guys can draw from. Okay, and I hope that you guys are drawing information, knowledge from this game. Granted, as I said before, we're not professionals, but there's a lot to learn here. Okay, because as a group, we're pretty formidable. Okay, you have guys like VK Cowboy, War Torn, Corporal 24, Dutch Lancaster, GI Joe, myself, and am I forgetting anybody? I hope not. Who have some experience. As a matter of fact, VK Cowboy is the Bloodbath champion, and Corporal 24 came in second place. We have a working knowledge of the game. Okay, so hopefully we can impart on you guys. Okay, I'm sure that for those guys that have a lot of experience, you're not really learning anything here. But for those of you who are moderate to intermediate or novice to rookies, you guys may have a lot to learn. Okay, and not only rule-wise, but also as far as how to go about using social media, YouTube, WhatsApp, or whatever medium, social media platform you want to use to be able to play this game. Okay, so that's the idea behind this. All right, so hopefully we'll be able to finish the game. We're obviously more than halfway through. UK will be going within the next few. The UK under the leadership of Corporal 24 will be going within a few days, and we should wrap up round 5. And I have a feeling that this game is going to go all the way till round 8 because the Axis are very strong. Okay, yeah, they took a beating in the Pacific, but the Allies have been taking a beating in the Atlantic. Okay, and GI Joe is a dangerous opponent. He will come back. I mean, I have no, I'm listening. I'm not fooling myself. I'm assuming that my fleet is gonna go in season 6, so that's gonna knock the air out of the U.S. And obviously, the fact that the U.S. now is going Europe for at least one turn, maybe 2, this will give Japan a chance to catch a breather and to reassert itself. So this game is far from over. It's up in the air. It could go with the Allies. It could go with the Axis. All right. So if anything, guys, I hope you're learning from this, and I hope that you enjoy watching the videos. Also, if I may place one request from you guys, okay, and this is a favor, okay, I have asked you guys for your opinions, okay, I appreciate them, I'm very thankful for your opinions, but guys, just keep in mind, I know we're social personas. The moment we put anything on YouTube, we become social personas, so we are exposed to criticism. I get it, okay, and I did ask for commentaries, but do me a favor, we're also human, okay, and some of the commentaries, don't have to be critical of either me or my what is it? The other guys that are playing in the game. Let's be considerate. Let's be appreciative of each other, because my intent with this setup here is to teach other folks on how to play the game. Okay, using social media. Okay. Granted, I enjoy the process of making videos and doing this whole setup and doing whatnot and showing you guys how I go about doing this and showing you the game and the strategies and tactics, rules and whatnot. But but sometimes some of the commentaries can be a little bit harsh, guys. And I can speak for myself and for the rest of the guys playing in the YouTube wars. Just a request. Be considerate with what sometimes we write. There's no need to be, a little rough around the edges. We're just a bunch of guys having a good time. We're good friends. And hopefully you guys can impart some knowledge from this and a little bit of enjoyment as well. Okay, so that's all, guys. Anyways, hope you guys have a meeting of the minds like I have with me and the rest of your playmates and guys that you play with. And remember, it's all about having a good time and having a little time away from real life and the real world. Anyway, guys, as always, don't forget to bunker down and play. And until next time.